In this video, I propel you to go deeper into Christ, to have a greater dimension of intimacy with Him. Enjoy and please subscribe. I'm very excited for what's happening in the Spirit. I always say this every time I do this, I express my excitement. But I really want to push on what's happening in the Spirit. So what I'm going to do tonight, I shared a little bit on this last night, and I just want to remind you guys that's coming on for the first time, or that's just watching these specific clips that I do on Wednesdays. I have many of these schools. Matter of fact, I have Monday, Tuesday, I have Thursday, Friday, I have every other Sunday. I have on Friday, I have 1 week I have in Slidell, 1 week I have in Lafayette. So in essence, I have many of these classes. I have Maurepas, I have Baton Rouge, I have Denham Springs. So there's many things happening. So when I teach, I've probably taught it somewhere before. That's kind of the whole idea. I teach these things as often as I possibly can. And the Father said to me from the very beginning that I need to record everything I do. Okay, so if you hear things over and over again, my apologies, but I just repeat what I have in my heart. Okay, so instead of just answering questions, and by the way, I'm not getting as many questions as what I used to, so don't forget, please inbox me if you have questions and you want me to answer certain questions. And also just remind yourself that the questions, I would like for them to be related to Spirit School, right? I'm not a normal preacher. I don't mind, but I don't lay my hands on the sick, and I do, but this is not part of this school. It's not part of what I do right now. So please understand that I'm not here to prophesy over you, although I can, and I have done it many times, and if I feel led, I will prophesy over someone. But my idea with this specific Facebook school is that I want to answer questions. But the last couple of weeks has been a really prophetic time. I really feel that the Father has opened many gateways, many doors in the Spirit. And as sons and daughters of the Most High, we need to be aware of what's happening in the Spirit. And I'm not talking about demonic influence, because let me be honest, if you only see demonic spirits, if you only operate in the Spirit where you see demons, you're in the wrong realm. Get out of there, okay? When you start engaging in the Spirit, the idea is to engage with the heavenly beings, to engage with the angelic, to engage with the seven spirits, the four living beings, the four living creatures, the cherubim, the seraphim, to engage with that which is in heaven, with the 22 letters, the Hebrew letters, those living fiery gates. So I would urge you to find yourself really going deep. Find yourself stepping out of the natural spirit realm. I say natural spirit realm, I mean the earthly spirit realm. Now, it's not unlawful for me to walk there or be there. Of course, we have dominion over all that the Father has given us, and that includes every realm, every dimension within the earth. That includes every realm, every dimension within the kingdom of God. It includes every realm, every dimension within. The Spirit of God is excessively in this place. And I know that He's where you are as well. Just overwhelming. So I want you to be sensitive to Him. I want you to be sensitive to Him. Let Him engage with you. Let Him engage with you. The Father wants to open up the doors in your life to get you to where you need to be. So on Tuesday night, I'm driving over the Twin Span Bridge. Now that's from Slidell to New Orleans. I don't know, some of you might not know what the Twin Span Bridge is, but it goes over a massive Lake Pontchartrain, and woo, wow! And as I enter onto this bridge, I immediately get taken into the Spirit, and I go into a cloud. This massive, thick, dark cloud. Now I know what you're thinking, because our natural thought when it comes to a dark cloud would be demonic, would be intensely not from God, satanic activity, demons wanting to come kill, steal and destroy, just being aware of that which is happening in the spirit realm. Let me tell you something. As I entered this cloud, a massive cloud, now it wasn't a physical cloud, as a matter of fact there wasn't a cloud in the sky, and there was a spiritual cloud, and I went into the Spirit to see this. I was engaging with the Father, and I just felt myself just going in. Literally, I felt it was like a vortex sucking me in. Whew! I don't know what's happening here, guys, but I'm getting drunk. I'm getting so drunk in the Spirit. I just love it. His presence is overwhelming. His beauty is excessive. The more you see, the more you want to be with Him. The more you see, the more you go in, the more your being just want to run after the things the Father has for you. But I step into this cloud, and immediately I begin to see this vortex of angels, like literally a spiral, hurricane slash tornado of angelic activity, angelic beings, just lightning, fire. It almost looks like the belly, now listen to me, it almost looked like the belly of a dragon, but it wasn't. But it looked like the belly of a dragon with a swirling digestive system that's busy breaking up things into proportion so that it can come out. Yeah, I know that's disgusting, right? But this is what it felt like. It felt like something was being prepared. That every angel in there was lightning and fire, and there was voices speaking, intense revelation. There was multiple dimensions of His glory and fire. There was just an absolute breath of Yahweh breathing into this cloud, just surrounding the nation, surrounding the state, surrounding the waters. And of course, as it was touching the waters in the Spirit, it was making a frequency, and it was releasing that frequency into the nation, into all that was around us. It was just incredible, and I kept on finding myself going deeper and deeper into the Spirit. Eventually I got into this cloud with my entire being, and I expanded my spirit to really hover over all of this. And as I began to hover over all of this, I begin to see the angels on assignment, and I begin to realize. Now, a prophet friend of mine, Bob Overton, prophesied something over me the other day, and said very simple words. He said that he was in his room in his quiet time, and the Father said to him, "This is what you need to tell Gustav, that this is a time and a season where the Father wants to teach you how to work with the angels." Now, that's been a passion of mine. It's been a desire of mine, and as I climbed into this vortex, this cloud of the angelic activity, I was hovering over it with my spirit. Now, I remind you, your spirit can be large, your spirit can be small. You can enlarge your spirit. There's no time and space in the kingdom of heaven, and we just need to understand that. Okay, so as I begin to overshadow this cloud, I begin to have an immediate knowledge of how to speak to every angelic being, because every angel in this cloud was assigned portionally to what I was destined for. And as I started speaking, and of course I remind you, this is an honorable thing. This is not something you don't go and command an angel. "I command you in the name of Jesus to do what I tell you to do." That's not honor. We don't command, and we'll very quickly, as the body of Christ, begin to understand that Yahweh is not one that commands. He does not command your worship. He does not command you to obey Him. And the things we have set out as commandments comes from a slave mentality. And Yeshua, Yahweh, is not into the slave mentality. He wants those who love Him. He wants you to do things because you're intimately in love with Him, that you're intimately wanting to do all things that pertains to Him, willingly, without Him having to force you. That's why He says that 2 commandments is what He speaks of. Love your Lord, your heart, mind, body, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. But in reality, if you understand, that's not a commandment, because no one can command me to love. If you command me to love, there's pressure applied, which means you're forcing me to love somebody. I can't be forced to love. Love is something that has to take place in relation. So we need to understand something. The Father does not want to command you anything. We know neither can we command angels. But I'm not saying that we cannot speak to them and relate to them and have them do things that needs to be done. So I'm not going to speak to my angel. Let me just tell you something. On this side, I have an angel called Passion. He's been with me for a very long time. He is a big, massive guy. Matter of fact, he is more defined than what I am. He's probably about 2-3 feet higher than what I stand. If he had flesh, he would probably weigh about 500 to 600 pounds. He is big, both the angels. There's a Passion on the one side, Focus on the other side, and they've been with me for a long time. Then I have Zephkiel. Zephkiel is actually an archangel that is assigned to my bloodline, that is assigned to our ministry. And he stands between 10 and 15 feet high, and he is a vortex of power. He is not well built, he's not defined and muscular. He's got massive wings that is always down his side. He has spread them a couple of times when things were getting rowdy around me in the spirit. But usually it just hangs down to his side. He has a massive sword in his back. He always stands with a staff in his hand. And so this is what's always around me. And I need you to understand that. And I never command them to do anything. Matter of fact, when we engage, it is gentle and it's a loving affair, I want to say. And it's not an affair as you think in your perverted mind. Focus. I have an engagement with these angelic beings. And this is just 3. I'm talking, we have engaged with thousands and thousands and thousands of angels over the last couple of years. So I want you to begin to understand, and it's very important, we do not command angels in the manner or attitude that we have in our subconscious mind. We have relationship with them, we love them, we honor them, we respect them. That's why that's also the relationship we have with the Father. The Father doesn't want to command you, He wants to love on you. I don't command my children. Now at a certain age in their lives, there's a form of commandment that takes place. I have told you to go brush your teeth. Now go do it. You know, and of course, and eventually they will get to the place in their lives where I don't have to tell them to go do it. They'll just do it because it's been hammered into them that this is a good thing to do. And of course, I'm going to shout at them every time they don't brush their teeth. So I'm going to be shouting with them. I'm going to be talking to them. Eventually, they need to get and understand that they want, and they need to be trained and equipped, right? So this is just logic. But in the spirit realm, it's the same. So as I was hovering with my spirit over all this angelic activity, and I began to send out the messages in my heart to these different angelic beings, what they need to do, how they need to do it, what needs to be aligned, what mountain needs to be erected, what has been destroyed, what has been nullified in the spirit, where the spirit of might's taken me into the court of war, where I've judged over certain states, certain giants, certain dragons, certain things that needs to be aligned. And I just started speaking this, and not just me. When I started going deeper into this encounter, I realized that there was other men, other women in our nation, as a matter of fact in the world, that was also in the same cloud, just speaking to angels. There was millions and millions of angels, and they were just speaking to these angels. But of course, in the spirit, speech is not what we perceive. What I'm doing now is I'm audibly speaking to you, but in the spirit there's no need for audible speech. There's a knowing, there's an understanding, there's a revelation that is inside you. So there's a knowing, because we are all one, because we operate out of the same being, and I remind you of this, we are one with Christ. Christ is the center of all things. Because I live and move and have my being in Him, everything that I do in the kingdom of heaven come out of Him, and it's there because of Him. I don't do anything outside of Him. So the commandments, the speaking, the speech, that which I release, that which I call forth, happens in the Spirit, and I don't have to say it as much as what it's just done in my actions. It's like my brain. You know, when my brain decides to make a movement, my hand does that. My hand does that. It wasn't an audible decision. I didn't have to say to my hand, how are you doing? I'm glad to see you are happy today. What I want you to do, just before I say, hey, I want you to take or go out like this. Hey. Now my hand can then rebel. Hey, I asked you to do that. Help me, Jesus. But I'm trying to make a point here. My brain doesn't have to operate like that. I don't have to tell my body what to do. There's a functionality in my thought pattern, in my brain operation, that I just do things, and my brain has sent the signals to my body wherever it needs to go for me to be able to do what I want to do. And I told my head, it's not something I have spoken, it's just something that's known in my body. I'm speaking right now, but I'm not thinking before I say a word. It's just coming out because it's running through my spirit. So I just want to kind of bring that across. When I'm in the spirit realm, when you're in the spirit, when I speak to my Father, when I'm engaging in the heavens, it's not so much a physical audible voice as what it is a knowing. See, He's the head, I'm the body. And so I saw many other men, many other women, saints, glorified ones, higher in level than what I am. I mean, I've said this before, I've really just started in these revelations. It's been 7 years for me. The Father has blessed me with many encounters, many deep revelations that's still locked in my spirit, that's slowly but surely being released as I, by faith, speak it out. So there's so much more locked inside that's busy coming out, that's opening up doors, that's changing lives, and it's changing my life. Key to all of this is it's changing my life. And as much as I love you all, I love teaching God's people, I love being a teacher in this season of my life, I love having hundreds of students that I love, that I honor, that I bless with revelation, but really, it's all for me. Because as I'm teaching this, as these things are coming out, as I am speaking of the encounters that I've had, it becomes more real. And every time I engage, every time I go deeper, I experience a deeper level of revelation regarding these things. But as I was sending and speaking to these angelic beings, so much in the city. Now this is a 5 to 10 minute drive. It's only 5 miles. So in this time, I'm experiencing and seeing in the natural, well, in the spiritual, in the natural, how things are falling into place, how things are changing, how God's men, sons, daughters of mine, in the spirit, people's lives just getting aligned, men, women getting blessed, men and women getting favor in their job, in their workplaces. Men and women have been praying for breakthrough. I have a friend in South Africa that has been waiting for his visa, that has been praying. He's been without a visa, which means he couldn't get a bank account, he couldn't do work. He has been supernaturally looked after by Yahweh for 5 or 6 years. And this week, he's getting his passport, or this week he's getting his visa, because we've been engaging, we've been stepping in. I don't know him per se as of a personal encounter, but I have loved him as a son of Yahweh. And so I have done the same with some people in my New Orleans school. I have done same with some of my sons and daughters in the spirit. I have a lady friend that I love and honor very much. She has been in a place in her life where she does not want to be, and in essence she shouldn't be there. And I'm talking about a physical place that she got taken to through a hospital, and she didn't want to be there, and we were praying and engaging for healing and the supernatural power of God to engage, and she was released. Now, is she completely healed? No, but there's a change. There's an alignment taking place because things are happening in the spirit. And I know what you're thinking. Well, did you lay hands on her? Did you go prophesy over them? Did you speak over them? Did you pray with them? Did they come forward and the elder laid their hands on him? No. Now, is that a bad thing? No, those things are not bad. Oh, that's what we are called to do. Yes, that is what we're called to do. But there's a higher dimension of all of this. See, I was legislating in the kingdom. I was aligning things in the earth. And of course, when we begin to align things in the earth, that which is connected to the alignment gets to fall into place. It's all lined up with what the Father has desired for this time and season for the sons and the daughters. For us to step into place and for us to begin to understand who we are, who we need to operate with, who we need to run with, and to understand in the same breath that everything that I operate in the heavens has an effect. And this is what they call the butterfly effect. A butterfly can slap its wings and have multiple effects in the universe. Now, I personally cannot see how that can make a difference, but as far as the scientist world or the scientific world is concerned, that is a big thing. And I've noticed and I've seen that a son by faith doing something in the spirit has phenomenal results. An angel being sent to the right place at the right time to give the right message changes everything. A son of God going into the spirit, putting his foot down in a specific area, beginning to breathe the breath of Yahweh into that area brings a massive change. A son full of the glory and the fire of Yahweh, opening up his spirit man within a nation and letting the glory of the Father pour into that city, into that nation, begins to change things. I love the schools, my sons and my daughters. My sons, my younger son, Kewen and Hannah, they're in a school called Abney Primary School and a pre-K. And I have hovered over the school. I have loved upon every single teacher, and I don't even know most of them. I know my son's teachers. I think he's got like 3 teachers. I know one of my friends' sister goes to that school as a teacher. I know obviously my daughter's teacher. So there's like maybe 5 or 6 people that I actually know there. But I have hovered with my spirit over every one of those teachers, over their families, over every student in that school, only because my kids is in that school. So I have an honor for everybody that's bringing education to our kids, because our kids are going to become great in this nation. And so I, as a son of the Most High, as a daughter of the Most High, as a child of God, have to begin to understand the value of that butterfly effect. My praise goes into a school. Someone's heart aligns and begins to change. Something happens, something triggers here, something triggers there. Someone gets prayed for, someone gets healed, a family gets blessed, something becomes right. That was wrong. Someone's heart changed and does not continue to molest his daughter or his son. There's so much. that can happen when one man comes together, one woman comes together in unity as a son and begin to command the morning, begin to command the day as a son, begin to align things into its full purpose as it's meant to be. Now, what do I do in the physical? Let me tell you my day. I wake up at 4 in the morning and I begin to engage in the spirit. But I get dressed at 4 in the morning to go book my spinning bike. This is what I do in the natural. While I'm on the spinning bike for an hour, which is terrible, by the way, I am engaging in the spirit. My spirit is busy hovering over the schools, over my family. And my spirit sometimes spends time in South Africa, aligning things in Cape Town, our mother city, going into Johannesburg, a western area, which is where my family stays, my blood family. And I would go into these cities. That's for an hour that I'm engaging when my physical body is on a bicycle dying. Then I would come home. Before the schools close, I would get my kids ready because my wife likes to sleep late because she goes to bed late, and that's my time with the kids because I'm not at home at night. So I spend some time with the kiddies just getting them dressed. I do my daughter's hair. Shame, she looks terrible when she goes to school because, as you can see, I have no hair. So doing hair is not my specialty, but I'm learning how to plait hair. I'm learning how to make a very nice, what do you call that, little bola on the head. And I'm learning how to make a nice ponytail. 2 ponytails with a nice straight line in the back. Hey, God's teaching me all kinds of stuff. But this is what I'm trying to say. This is my natural day. Then I would wake my wife up at about 9. We would go to the gym. We would spend some time together. We'd have some coffee together. We would come home. We would go to Walmart. By the time we get home, we will probably just relax at home a little bit, clean the house a little bit. Then my son would come home. Then the other kids would go home. Then my wife would want to maybe go back to the gym later, do a class. I would jump in the shower, get ready for my spirit school, and I would go do what the Father has written on my scroll for me, which I agree to. So my natural day looks pretty normal, or maybe abnormal, but pretty much not too spiritual. But in this time, I'm engaging in the spirit all the time. So physically, I'm not doing the things that you would expect me to do, but in the natural, in the spiritual, I am engaging into the Word. I'm engaging into the spirit realm. I am spending time with the Father. I am going into different nations. I'm going into different states. I spend time with the 7 spirits. I'm engaging at the throne. The Father's taken me to different courts where He's really teaching me different things. There's so much happening. There's so much happening. Let me tell you something. In this little city that I live in, Slidell, I believe that we have blessed this city in the spirit so excessively. One of the very first giants I slain was in Slidell. And it was very vivid, it was very, very real, and it aligned things so much that they began to open up new hotels. They're opening up a new complex, the living complex. The whole city is blessed. Now, I'm not saying that it's only me. There's other great, phenomenal men and women of God living in the city that loves the city as much as I do, and they're doing great things. But it's not just about a city. It's not just about a state. And we as the ecclesia need to begin to understand. As I started going into this vortex cloud of angelic activity, there was scrolls and books and diamonds and gold. There was so much, and it was just in the swirl. And I could just take and I could throw it into the different cities. I could throw it into the different states. I could bring it and give it to different people and then breathe it into place. Breathe it into place. And I really believe, and I'm going to try and close with this, I really believe the Father's desire for us as the ecclesia, the Father's desire for us as the church, is to begin to understand who we are. That it is more than just going to church on a Sunday. That it's more than just opening the Bible and hoping that it opens at a nice place, so when I read it, it blesses me instead of, and he killed himself. Because there are scriptures like that in the Bible. So I would urge you not to just open the Bible and say, okay, well, whatever it says there, that's what God's telling me to do. Now, there's a time and season for that. But when we grow out of that, His desire for you is to engage into Him. His desire for you is to go deeper and deeper into Him. But I want to urge you, as sons and daughters of the Most High, we begin to see that it's not just about going to church. It's not just about reading the Bible. It's not just about trying to be a good person. It's about spending intimate time with Yahweh, going deep into the spirit realm and soaking into Him, soaking in His glory, soaking in His fire, spending physical time in the kingdom of heaven, allowing Him to wash over you. Allowing Yahweh to just literally bath you in His glory, bath you in His fire. Forget about the things that brings glory to you. Now, I'm a preacher. This is what I do. So sometimes I share things that I've done in the Spirit. So yes, it sounds like I'm telling you how great I am and the things that I've done, but that's really not what it's about. If I wasn't a preacher, no one would ever have known what I did. The only reason I'm sharing these things because it's a testimony. And a testimony literally means to replicate. So whatever testimony I share is now available for you. It's gone into the atmosphere. It has made it available for those sons and daughters that wants to engage into it. I've engaged into every encounter that my mentors have spoken of, because once you hear something, you can go into it and you can begin your own encounter. You can begin your own walk, your own destiny. You can begin your own open door that begins to relate to you in the kingdom as you grow, as you go deeper. These gates, these doors has already been opened and we can go into it. So I would urge you to change the way you do things, to go deeper into Yahweh. When you read the Bible, remind yourself you're a spirit, and as a spirit being you can physically go in to the Word. When you go into the Word, you see how things happen. You get to understand things at a different level. Revelation is poured into you, and you begin to understand the beauty of Yahweh. But in the same breath, you begin to understand who you are as a son or daughter of the Most High. That you're not this weak being that will always sin, that's always going to be a sinner, that has to die to become perfect. No, no, no. You see, you're rebirthed into Christ, into and through the blood of Christ, which means your DNA changes into Christ. Through the bloodline, which means your bloodline changes. You're a new being. The old has passed, the new has come. You are completely different than what you've ever been. You even look different. Now, physically, I don't look any different. Matter of fact, some of my friends that's known me from 20 years ago say I still look exactly the same. I know, right? Thank you, Jesus. But the idea about all of this is that we need to understand it's not so much what happens in the physical that changes. And the physical will change. That if the more you eat of Him, the more you drink of Him, the more of life is going to come into you. Physically, spiritually, mentally, you will be consumed with His life. And so His desire for you is to find yourself constantly worshiping and glorifying and magnifying Him. And understand that it doesn't always have to reflect in the natural. You know, that's what the Pharisees and the Sadducees did. Now, I'm not saying if you go to church on Sunday and you raise your hands and you clap hands and you cry and it's snot and tears and you're worshiping God with all your heart, that's hypocritical. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying that that doesn't always have to be a physical expression. You know, I can be in the car driving, speaking to my wife. I can be at home, just sitting on the couch watching TV. I can do all kinds of things during my day, mow the lawn. And what I'm busy doing in the Spirit is I'm engaging, just worshiping, glorifying, magnifying. I can do that all the time. Matter of fact, I've trained myself over the last 15 years how to always be praying in tongues, always be praying in the Spirit, always being in the Spirit, always being aware of what's happening in the Spirit realm. Now, of course, for me to see to that level, I have to engage. I don't engage all the time, so I don't see all the time. But when I need to see, I can engage and see. And that's available for everybody. But it comes out of intimacy. Everything comes out of intimacy and the desire we have to worship Him. Guys, I'm going to close with this. I love you guys. I want to pray a prayer before I shut it down. And the prayer is really activation. Because I want you to begin to see this cloud. So right now, Father, I want to take everyone on this page or on this video, on this live video on Facebook and on YouTube. I want to take you into that vortex. I want to take you into that vortex, that cloud of fire, lightning, where the angelic beings are literally swirling in a vortex of His glory and His presence, waiting for sons and daughters to come hover over that cloud and begin to speak life, sending them into the right places, letting them do the right things. Let the sons and daughters begin to operate as ones with dominion and authority. Father, I want to ask that you will release every son, every daughter, everyone listening to a higher level of maturity, to a higher level inside of you, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, as we begin to know you, as we begin to love on you, as we begin to see that these things is what you've been waiting for. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells us that the entire creation is waiting for the sons to awake and the daughters. And so now that we are waking up, things are becoming aligned. Things are being changed. Things are falling into place. And Father, I pray for everyone that's watching this to begin to engage at a higher level, to begin to engage and worship you at a new pace, deeper, higher, wider into you. Father, we love you. We praise you in the name of Yeshua. Amen. Bless you guys. I love you. I remind you that there's no obligation in any way, fashion, or form for you to trade financially into anything I do. But I would urge you, this is what I've done. This is what Rebecca, one of my spiritual daughters, have done. This is what Leon does, one of my spiritual sons. This is what Ronnie does, one of my spiritual sons. This is what his wife, Julie, does. This is what Stephen does. This is what men and women do. They trade into the one that you see as your rabbi at the time. You trade into his messages. You trade in for revelation. It's not an obligation, but it's a good idea. Do I need your money? I don't. Have I made millions of dollars doing this? No, I have not. I wish, but I haven't. But it is for your benefit. That's why I don't charge for anything. That's why there's never any cost, any fees in any way, fashion, or form, because I want you to willfully trade into a message, into a revelation, so you can reap the benefits of your trade. Willfully choose to go in. No obligation. If you do choose to do it, you can go to gustavleroux.com and push on the donate button. It's not a donation, it's a trade. But you can push on the donate button and you can take the steps that needs to be taken from there. Guys, I love you. I absolutely honor and bless you. Have a great evening. Yes, I am literally melting. The aircon cannot face me because then it blows on this fire at the back. Yeah, so it doesn't actually help me much. It's supposed to cool the room. I didn't have time to switch it on earlier, so that's why I'm literally melting. But we'll just say it's the glory of God. It's the fire of Yahweh behind me and all over me, melting me down, right? Anyway, have a great evening. Love you, bless you, and we'll chat again soon. Again, just quickly, you can see at average, everything happens at 8 o'clock. Although my meeting starts at 7. The Sunday meetings start at 5 o'clock, and of course you will you will begin to catch the teaching about a half an hour into it. So our worship's not that long, but at about 5:30, which is 30 minutes past 5 on a Sunday when I have a school on Marapa or even in Homa, you can watch it live on Facebook. Mondays starts at 8 o'clock. Tuesdays starts at 8 o'clock. Wednesdays we have the Spirit School Facebook. Thursdays we do not have any live feeds. As a matter of fact, I only record it on my video camera for YouTube. And then Fridays it'll either be at Slidell or Lafayette, but it's both recorded and it starts at 8 o'clock. So that's the schedule. It's the same every week. There might be some added, but usually it just goes on. The only time I do not have schools going is on a Thursday, and that is Thanksgiving, right? There's no school on Thanksgiving Day. But otherwise, I always have the schools. If I can't make it, Rebecca does the teachings. And of course, she's always phenomenal. She's a powerful, wonderful woman of God. We love her and we honor her. And so, love you guys. Have a great evening. Honor your wives. Honor your husbands. If you're not married, bless you. Honor those around you. Love those around you. And understand that the Father has great purpose and sees you with great value. Love ya. Have a great day.